Welcome to the LinkedIn Power Lab webinar. This is the episode number 42. For those who know me a little bit, it's actually my favorite number. I have a series on LinkedIn called 42 Coffees, where some of those who participate today also have been featured. And 42 is the number of double pages in my LinkedIn books. It's also the answer to the question about the meaning of life, but it just happened because I have done and delivered 41 webinars over the last 5 years, and now it's number 42. The topic today is how to use LinkedIn to grow Substack subscribers. You can say instead of Substack, even Beehive or any other newsletter platform as such, because what I want to talk about today is combining the two, combining social media and also a newsletter platform in the view of a content creator. So my name is Gunnar. I'm a social media coach. I published a couple of books. At the moment, it's 3 of them in English, and I have 3 in my plans, and a couple of others beforehand, 1 fairy tale, 2 hotel guidebooks, and 21 travel books. I love writing and sharing this, and therefore, I'm very happy that I run these webinars because that gets me a chance of talking to many people from my audience. So what I prepared for today are 3 things. And same as on the landing page to it, I would like to talk about newsletter, which means how to get people subscribed. Then a little bit about Substack as an example platform, where the target is to create regular content. And out of Substack, it actually sends it out regularly, which is a nice thing. And then the third part, how you can promote this on LinkedIn. Basically, how to marry those two together. And as usual for my webinars, please stay muted, use the chat because we have a couple of questions as well. And let's see how we go. I will send a recording from today, including the slides, within 12 hours. That's the beauty of automations. So how to get people subscribed? That's the first thing. And you can see here someone is holding a newspaper in your hand, and then it's always a fight. It's a fight for attention. And we're living in an attention economy, which makes it even tricky. So the question to the audience in the chat, how often do you send regular newsletters, episodes? And which platform? My answer, twice per week, Substack, twice per month, my email newsletter. Let's see what's coming in there from the audience. And some of those who I know who wanted to come would say something I hear. Not only once per month in newsletter, that's good. Some others, didn't start it yet. That's something that can be done. And I know, Belle, when you're watching this, we can help you get started on that one. The tricky thing here is if you do not send it to our audience, we are not top of mind in the currency they have, which is the inbox. That's a place where we would like to be, like the Holy Grail. The tricky thing also, people have more than one inbox. So not everyone might run 33 email addresses like myself, but at least the key thing is how can we be relevant for them? So let's look what I prepared. So there's a couple of numbers, and those who attended my webinar series have seen some of them beforehand. We can see that it's more people on the planet using social media than email, but still half of email users, half of the population are email users, which is good. So, and out of the 319 billion emails which are sent daily, we would like to grab attention. 30 to 40% are marketing emails. What else is there? I think 10 to 20% are transactional emails, which have different rules. Think about you ordered something from Amazon and they want to send a message to you. I got today that 3 books are on my way to me because I have people who wanted to have my last book, Lead Not Managed. I give it to them. And that is transaction because you ordered something. Anti-spam rules don't cover transactional emails. You get also transactional SMS. and the rest are one-on-one emails. But here, 30 to 40% are marketing emails, and they require to be opted in. The open rate is seen good between 30 up to 40% when it's a large enough audience. If you segment down your list down to a group of maybe only 50, it could even be that you get 80%, particularly if you know them well. But typically out of large audience, 30 to 40% is seen good. Click-through rate about 3 to 5%. Yeah, but you see the last number? Most people say emails are not necessarily useful. And whoever you ask, professionals would say inbox is again full and still so many emails. Despite in many companies, communication takes place not only on emails, but a lot on other platforms, more chat-related platforms like Slack or Teams or WhatsApp, or even other chat tools in Asian countries. So this means what we need to get is the attention. And here are my favorite two pyramids. On the left-hand side, this is from the book called Ultimate Sales Machine, the Buyer's Pyramid, which says that 3% are ready to buy now. If you look in the content on social media that you follow, ignoring the private pictures of everything that nicely happened, a lot of business-related emails on Facebook, on posts on Facebook or Instagram are actually towards buy me now. But people might not be ready to buy. On 30% no, they're not interested. 67 we can get. But when we send to the 67 who are not ready to buy now, content for bottom of the funnel of closing, then we have exactly the wrong content for them. That's why we need to grab those people towards the right pyramid and run the regular funnel that goes onto the top, and then getting from marketing into nurturing into the sales process, or I prefer the word customer journey, and get them down into conversion towards paid customer. I placed a range of elements on the right-hand side. You can see the content that runs there for free on social media can turn into an ebook or any other lead magnet which is there to obtain the email address from a person. In order to convert down to a program, let's say something like $2,000, $3,000 program, there are two elements that can be placed on the journey. You have them in blue: a book, which costs surely something, but not much, and an online course that can help there to showcase how something can be done. As an example, for the program further down in the journey. But also these elements, a book and a course, if you only place content like buy my book and buy my course, it wouldn't convert because the target audience doesn't know us, then we don't nurture them. So here's an example from a newsletter which has a precision on delivery. So we have early 25, and 3 years ago in early 22, Justin Welch unsubscribed everyone from his email list and said, guys, I will now start something new called the Saturday Solopreneur newsletter, and you can resubscribe here. He wanted to be very sure on who are the people that subscribe. And he sends it every Saturday morning, US time. So depending on my time zone in Australia, according to this, I get it always at the same time. And people want to even to read that. In the meantime, 200,000, whatever the number, I don't know, many of them. So that was the way how to get a renaissance towards newsletters. He's one of those very vocal about that. But when we send a newsletter, it typically is something like, we as company have these news to share with the whole world. And it feels like as a reader, it doesn't attract me because they miss typically at least 1 out of 4 things. To attract the right person on the right individual level with the right message, to ensure that also an action comes out of it. The timing is important, and also the medium. I used to work with Deloitte, and one of the bigger partners on safety, work health safety related topics, he liked to research about his subject matter on a Saturday afternoon. And then he even wrote long articles, good articles. He shared them on LinkedIn. Wrong time. Medium might be okay, but wrong time. And the bad thing is his target audience potentially has even LinkedIn open when they are queuing at the barbecue and want to wait for their sausage. Then they see, oh, there is something. Okay. But they're not in the mood. Maybe in the time, but not in the mood to go through some heavy stuff. So therefore, social media platforms exist there also to schedule. But the right medium is always a question what to do when. And in ideal case of personalization, you can even create it in a way that two people get the same message, but in their view, how they would like to have it. My mom loves winter sports. My dad used to love summertime. So then a travel agency attracting both of them with a golf offer, both played golf, might want to have orange colors for my dad and light blue colors for my mom, because they would know about the people. Hyper personalization is a secret for better open rate and click-through rate and nurturing with newsletters. Also, LinkedIn has a newsletter, as we know. So here are examples on the left-hand side, one of the, maybe the largest one from the early ones with more than or nearly 10 million followers. Like the Wall Street Journal has one about careers and leadership. And of course, you can guess many people like it. So there's an episode with 128 likes. That's quite a lot. I like that. The beauty here, readers can subscribe to a newsletter. I think LinkedIn started that in 22 and 21, 22. I run mine since 22 about learning from books. My book reviews are placed there. And the interesting thing on that platform, and I checked it recently, about 40% of people who subscribe, I don't even know them. Because LinkedIn has this feature in it that as soon as you follow someone, it suggests you to also subscribe to their newsletter. They don't need to even be your first grade connection. That's nice. The only thing, we do not have their email address. We cannot grab them from LinkedIn and get them further. There's not even a nice filtering, unfortunately. I cannot say, hey, LinkedIn, please show me all people who are my second grade connections, but who subscribe to my newsletter and are from Australia. Can't do that, unfortunately. But at least it shows one thing, that longer format has merit. Modern emails newsletters go like this. Here's one example from Adriana Tica from Romania. It's a beautiful newsletter, more long format compared to Justin, coming every single week. And she joined this webinar in November at episode 39, where we talked about sending newsletters. And she has a longer one and comes every Thursday. Really like this. And when you can build something like a newsletter on any platform, but in a way that you can send it, she uses social media to get attention for that. She's posting in advance what will be in the next episode. She's posting afterwards what has been in the episode to still get eyes to it. And it's very clear what will be done on a Tuesday to announce Thursday it comes, Monday afterwards. And she ran this for 104 weeks in a row. That is exactly 2 years before coming to my webinar. So newsletters have something in it, particularly when they're very valuable. So that's a good way. And the newsletter that she runs, based on the question I just saw here, the newsletter she runs on an email marketing platform, but she grabs attention from people on her LinkedIn. She writes LinkedIn posts, and that turns this into this. So it's not a LinkedIn newsletter; it's a traditional email newsletter. That's how she runs that. And very well. People like to engage with that. So that was about the need why we are using newsletters more and more, and also about the regularity. The worst thing is we start a newsletter, we run it for 4 months, month to month, and then we forget about it. What's the perception? Oh, that person is out of business because it doesn't come anymore. We need to be mindful when we start. Same with podcasts. 3 podcast episodes out, beautiful. And where's the next one when it doesn't come anymore? So let's take an example platform of newsletters, which is Substack. It's not the only one. I think Substack, how I got into it, I used to write occasional articles on Medium. Medium is long format writing, less newsletter, but more long format blogging, which has been co-founded by or created by one of the Twitter co-founders who thought that Twitter was too short, needed to have something long. Medium has even publications. Someone creates and many writers can publish in it. But it's not necessarily a place where every writer can have their publication. And that's where Substack comes into play and has a completely different monetization to it. There is a competing platform, Substack, called Beehive. They go pretty similar in certain areas. This is better, in others that is better. I tested both. I personally like the engagement and the vibe of Substack a bit more because people are cheering up quite nicely. So then the coloration is very nice on Substack. So for those of you who are on Substack, check in the chat how often do you post notes, which is the short format part, and articles on Substack. For me, it is 2 notes per week, not enough, and 1 or 2 articles. Some of you are rather reading on it, and I know for many people that they have big challenges in getting the regularity on it. So to show the difference, an article on Substack is what in normal social media would be maybe a post, but they're normally longer, while notes is a short form, a bit like Twitter. And when Substack introduced this, then the platform really skyrocketed because it helps to engage with people. So let me show you a typical Substack publication. That's mine, called Writing in Cafes. That screenshot is from about November. In the meantime, I changed the layout a little bit, more emojis in the menu. And you can see here the episode with Adriana about newsletters. So it's a mix of blogging and newsletter. It can look like a magazine. There's several layouts to do it. I picked a feature article in the middle, and then most popular goes on the right and most recent on the left, different type of size. There are various forms how that can look like. The great thing is you can subscribe and I will get your email address. That's what we would like to have, the piece of currency. That's a good one. Even the good thing here is that writers can find relevant audiences as well. And if someone subscribes to me typically for free and they like what I do, they can also get a paid subscription. And it is me as author to say how that would look like, not anyone else. It's not the platform who says it. Substack keeps 10%. But let's face it, they organize all of that, and that's the only money that I need to pay to Substack. There's no other subscription to that. So that's great. It only doesn't connect. So I cannot grab the people from Substack and put them straight into ActiveCampaign. I can't do that. There is a trick though. But normally it stays in this type of platform. And it can grow with consistency. If I look into my graph, I'm growing nicely, maybe about 1 or 2 people per day. Now I have 354. Yeah, about that. And I started a year ago. You can say one per day, kind of. But as soon as you get more people on, then it gets faster. And I insist a bit on organic growth on it. I want to have people who are on Substack to get them into my ecosystem. More this compared to bringing people from outside of Substack into it because they first need to learn that. And of course, I do not upload the list into Substack because that would hurt the reach because then many people won't know. They never subscribe to it. That's dangerous. So that's a bit how that optically can look like. Question from the chat. Certain T's and C's surely are there around the newsletter, how to get things done, what you can post and not, but also the etiquette of how to deal with that. So interesting thing as TikTok recently got banned for a day or two in the US, many people have been looking for another platform and discovered Substack. But Substack is the writer platform, blogging platform. If, if, so I would never reach out to someone only, hey, how are you? Makes no sense. I would first create something, write something to get interest based on content. That's what I so much like on it. So, and setting up a publication, here's an example from Magdalena. So she's in the US. I like a lot what she's writing. She actually turned her former corporate career into a fractional Substack writer or medium writer as well, and also with other consulting businesses. So that's the beauty of it's a great way to enhance a network globally. So that's a good one. So there's a part, it's a form, how it can look like. You saw in comparison to mine, the fonts can be changed, the setup a little bit. She has typically an article in the middle, which is a bit more about the platform, in the sense of, dear reader, this is what you can get here, instead of a latest or best article. You see on the top right, give the subscription. So I'm her paid client, but I could even give to someone of you a publication. If I am looking onto someone else's Substack publication and I'm a free subscriber, then on the top right, I could enhance towards a paid member. Typically, paid is like monthly or maybe annually, and there's also a founder approach. So that's why how it can stack differently. In terms of timing, as people here are also reading a lot, which is great, not only images like on Instagram or videos on TikTok, but rather reading, it would be good to know where the audience is located and to have a publication schedule accordingly. I realized most of my subscribers are from the US, nice, or from Europe, completely out of Australian time zone. So I'm posting typically on 8:30 in the morning Chicago time. That's basically Central Time in the US, and that's when most people are rather there on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. If I post during the time the US is sleeping, but I'm waking up here, um, then that would not work. It takes then longer. But compared to LinkedIn, the content here is going around longer. When you post something 2 days ago, it still attracts readers, not like in LinkedIn where it, or even Instagram where it comes and then goes away quickly. That's bad. It also has one thing. Many publications, apparently not yet hers, also have a chat in it. Let me check if I put it on. We can't see it from this in this view, but there's a chat as well, so I can engage with the readers of my platform and can start a thread of chatting something. That's not. That's a way to engage with the audience. That's a good one. Substack also has a podcast in it, which itself can then publish a podcast towards Spotify, Apple, whatever other platforms. So that's good. And the beauty of Substack is in the notes section. You can see it there in the menu for Magdalena, the second word. After home is notes. Notes is like short format, where people would rather share sometimes images, sometimes, hey, have you seen this or that? I can share an article from Magdalena into my Substack and say, hey, guys, you need to read this one. It's highly engaging, and that's a growth story. They can post daily some content to get engagement, maybe 2 times, 3 times daily, like people would do on Instagram as well. Really nice for shorter form, and it works so well also in the app. Otherwise, Substack goes well on the desktop for this look and feel, but the notes are going well on the app as well. Yeah, that's a bit how it looks like to set it up. I developed my form of creating content and keen to hear from the audience if it makes sense. I select my content based on 6 letters: trust, results, enthusiasm, learning, lifestyle and opportunity. So this means only the last out of six is talking about what I'm selling. The majority is not. And you can see I posted this on LinkedIn. It was maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Ah, look, I've been still at Hootsuite back in the day. That's been a while ago. And I took this instead of an image, instead of a photo, I created a screenshot out of Twitter and posted it this way. But the purpose is providing value in the post, at least post regularly, like once per day on LinkedIn. Don't pitch it's not necessarily, and potentially produce it in batches. And you can see also on the right-hand side, creating content. That was the time when TikTok was banned in January. So then I combine text and an image in Canva to get my message across, even when the text part of LinkedIn doesn't show that. So I can take the same post, put it technically on the Substack as well, and it is sent to all my newsletter subscribers. But ideally, I make it longer because LinkedIn is normally not that long. Here I have more chance to have thoughtful content. That's what I like on it. So from an overall content strategy, I can place Substack as a newsletter platform and LinkedIn for the top of the funnel so that the Substack version would be enhanced, comes maybe even a bit later. And the top of the funnel version sits on social media. That's exactly the way how to play it. But what we want to do, we want to feed Substack/Beehive for those who are there or Medium. I need to get eyes to it. So how to promote the publication? Let's have a look. See the example here at the newspaper when they're all sitting there and the customers are ready to grab. That's it. Let me take an example of this question. How often do you post on LinkedIn? So for me, 5 times per week, sometimes also on the weekend. Anyone else? Oh yeah, 5 times for Natalie, twice for Belle. And I remember those from my last webinars. It was similar, between 2 and 5 times. Sometimes every day is not necessarily a good thing. It really depends also on the target audience. A question being on that, picking Natalie, when you post 5 times on LinkedIn, it's the same content than on Instagram?
I'll just unmute for a moment.
Yes, please.
No. So there is different platforms have different ways of working, and I picked and select which ones I repurpose so if I'm creating for Instagram, that piece may not make it to LinkedIn. And if I'm creating for LinkedIn, only some pieces make it to Instagram. So the first question you would ask is, which one is your main platform? And then you go from there. And it's a good idea to have more than one platform, but we are usually creating more on one platform as a main platform for us. And we can sort of repurpose, but it won't always work. Most of my wordy posts from LinkedIn won't work on Instagram because it likes the 3-4 second videos, right? On Instagram. So that's how I would approach it, is like Instagram used to be my main platform. So then I would create for Insta and repurpose some to LinkedIn. So that's just the best way. Yeah, we don't have to mirror them.
I really like that you do it not only per the platform rules, technically speaking, but also how your audience would receive message. If you put a heavy content related post on LinkedIn, that would work on LinkedIn, you put it on Instagram, it would potentially not work well. And Facebook sits somewhere there in the middle. And of course, in Twitter, I said goodbye to it, but X or whatever other short form, it's hard to grab attention on that in a similar way. So therefore, I'm also in favor to have it more suitable per platform. I posted recently about my memory of going to Vanuatu for my first time experience Valentine Day culture, which was in '99, living in New Zealand. And the longest version of that one sits on LinkedIn, a slightly different one on Substack, but on Instagram, just the image with a couple of lines only, because it should suit accordingly on the dwell time that people have on the particular platform.
Mm.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And this even allows us one thing. You can have completely different type of content on LinkedIn than you have on Instagram, or even I think the distance between that from LinkedIn to Substack can be even larger. You can build a completely different audience over there. That there's content that sits on Substack slash Beehive. What you send to newsletters can be completely different on purpose for compared to LinkedIn, particularly for those who work more than one job, to play this well. That's what I like about it. You can grab completely different audience. In my case, I serve content on LinkedIn for my main role, working at Active Campaign. That goes well. Occasionally, I add something for my webinars, for industry news around digital marketing, but my book marketing story suits more towards Substack. And therefore, I can play even both completely different. But at least don't take the same thing and blast it everywhere. That makes no sense. Thank you. Thank you a lot, Natalie, for the addition. So here's an example from what I showed before from Magdalena, how she is looking here on LinkedIn. So she has a corporate career in the past where she has been working a lot traditional corporate. So therefore, she has a quite decent LinkedIn following also on that one. Not using that much when it comes to the images in the background, and she even has a logo on Substack as if she was working there. But at least she plays it well to grab people from LinkedIn on topics that she's talking about towards her Substack, where she's also helping this business mentoring. So the key is we need to ensure that it is going well. LinkedIn can work as a content machine, as we mentioned, can find like-minded people, but we need to ensure that the story flows well. The beauty of LinkedIn, same like any other platform, like Substack as well, people know what to find where. You know where's the photo, you know where's the data of contact details, because it looks the same for everyone. Despite how we want to make it, it's always in the same way. And that goes as well for Substack and Beehive. But on the other side, on your website, it can be completely different. So that's the beauty of here. Everyone knows what to find where. But the key question is, how can you grab people from something like LinkedIn and divert them into a newsletter platform where you can then have better conversations and grab the email addresses and so on. On the left-hand side, you see the typical post that employees are doing. So from my former workmate, Kieran, he likes to just to repost. His company might be happy, but it doesn't really work that well. The other thing is if you write posts by yourself, like I've done here for my role in Active Campaign, when I've had my study hall, post about it, to share stories about highlight and showcase colleagues on it. These personal stories, of course, go much better. And with this way of content, you can grab the attention. Take the content like a content machinery, but then you need to have a call to action accordingly to divert the people where it should go. Like I'm a big fan of commenting, not like those people do on the left-hand side. That's pretty much a waste of real estate, but rather on the right-hand side. Hey, Natalie, there we have yourself. Where then we had William Joy, who's from here, and then yourself chatting about it. And I think that was on my post where then William responded, and then you, Natalie, responded to William's comment, and so on. It is not there just to have comments. It's not just to get a number of comments, but meaningful comments can help for the person who wrote the post to grab them into further conversation. And not only them. I found many professions in my life, not that I posted and said, I have this task, please subscribe to me, but rather I looked into the comments and figure out there are people who might be my tribe, or I might like to have them in my network, and that way it can work quite well. You can connect them with a personal message. By the way, I created finally my own GPT. It's called Connect GPT, can be found on ChatGPT. It's one of the custom GPTs, it's for free, and that helps to set up connection messages. I didn't share that beforehand. We'll do maybe later this week or next week. It's nice to have my own GPT to get a bit of knowledge and experience of connecting with people or being connected. And it works for typical use cases on LinkedIn and Substack as well. So where to place a Substack node? So this is my top part of LinkedIn. Taken this maybe 2-3 weeks ago. You can see there is a button called View My Newsletter. And that one, you can click on it and then it lands on my Substack. On the right-hand side, you can see even here when I'm commenting, that was with Justin, that was with Matt, that was with Chief, and always you can see what they have there. So this blue button, the premium custom button for me is called View My Newsletter. For Chief, it's book an appointment. For Justin, it's a website, and Matt, like myself, View My Newsletter. So that's the purpose on LinkedIn, that they have 6 defined ways what to do with that. I like it. Here you can see all 6 of them. And that's where I placed the URL of my Substack. As typically a Substack has the URL with the subdomain, in my case, writing interface.substack.com. That's all what's needed. And that way, eyes can click and see this so well, and they can grab that. But it only goes for those who have LinkedIn Premium. The other one, it is here. Example from Nira, she's from Canberra, and she has there the link, not a button, but a link. And there's no need to call the URL, but she has joined my newsletter, and that goes to her Substack. That's also one way to make that happen. And she also uses the real estate well for the background image. So I can see what she's doing. Here we have where to place it, like the link, custom button. That goes also for those who don't have LinkedIn Premium. And here's another example where Adriana Tika, how she has done it. She calls the link somehow, like in Nera's example, join my newsletter, very clear. And that's it. That's one way to also place it there. And the next one is a featured section. So here's an example from Magdalena, who has then different ways you can place a post. She has one of those that shows that's what she's normally writing. In the middle, she has a link. And the third one is the newsletter. That's one way of doing this. Others have only links, or I have only posts. It's different what we can do, but in all cases, we can make sure that people can subscribe to us. That's when you scroll through, everyone has this featured section. If they're able or not is their question, but at least then it would be there. And then here we have the post, how we can make it happen. Just one photo, you meet someone, and that's you and me and Sydney last year. And even there you see in blue, view my newsletter. So this premium button is an heavy piece of content, always visible. We see the nice engagement about that. So there's 91 people who liked the fact that we met. 42 comments. So I can talk to all of those people and then can do something in a conversation and grab them and their interest and put them into my newsletter. In the middle section, that is supposed to 3 photos. I've done one for my event last week as well, similar. And even that collection of images that I created, technically it's 1 image, but it is 4 photos that I put together in Canva. So that's all very nice ways, because being visual to grab attention to our newsletters. What you can do and should not do, let's say like this, you can mix things here. You can download your LinkedIn contacts. I recommend this to do this. Anyway, you go to this link. It's for everyone the same link. You get a zip archive with CSV files. And when you say download everything, like on the right-hand side, download larger data archive, you get one part immediately and another part within 24 hours. Then you have all your people. Some of them, when they have their email address open, visible for the public, then it will be in the CSV file. That's nice. But please don't just add them into Substack/Beehive because they didn't subscribe to your publication yet. It would be against the spam rules. It would be against doing good business. But what you can do, easier maybe on a CSV file in Google Sheets, Excel, or something like this, compared to LinkedIn, you can filter and think about who would be people who you want to have on your newsletter platform, like Substack. Then you can prepare something, a direct message, and then send it individually to those people who you want to have there and say, hey, I just started this. I think you might be interested because of, and then you do this manually or out of Gmail because we want them to subscribe. That's a good source to get people as well. Just don't automate. Makes no sense. Here's a way to reach out on LinkedIn. Even voicemail, even video is always different ways how to reach out to them. And then you can also announce this. So here's an example of Adriana who said, like then, my newsletter turns 2, beyond excited and proud to have made it that far. And she announced something special like a rebate of some product before the newsletter. And then that was on Tuesday. Newsletter came on Thursday. And on the right-hand side, that was after, on the Monday after, she talked about what the newsletter episode has been about, and you can still grab it. This before and after orchestrates the whole machinery and the strategy that she put in place to grow her newsletter nicely. I really like that. Well done. So that was all what I wanted to prepare for today in terms of how to use LinkedIn to grow Substack subscribers. We saw the necessity of having something like a newsletter platform. Then we looked into Substack as an example, which I, in the meantime, really much like. And then further, all the different places where you can put it on LinkedIn in your profile. So that's what I prepared for today. And a little bit afterwards, I utilized also the places where to talk about things for my latest book called Lead Not Manage. It's a collection of 5 stories about startups, about leadership, about networking, about digital products, and converting the funnel. And I created a bottomless book bundle. That means whatever else I share into the book or around that will be on the same link. That makes life quite easy. Those people who buy this once, it is 10 Australian dollars, delivered as a PDF form like an online course, they always can get an updated version for that. So easy. That's what I prepared for today. Thank you everyone for joining and for watching the recording afterwards, which I will submit within 12 hours as usual afterwards. And it will also go on the website, linkedinpowerlab.com. Thank you everyone for joining.